And back behind those horses, I Am Unstoppable. Osmosis at the clock tower, led by a length to Shinzo, Arkansas Kid, and I Am Unstoppable is running on. The leader, Osmosis, with 50 metres to go. Osmosis is clear and will take it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, punters of all ages, welcome back to the Mox Sports Presents the Quaddie Poddy. This time we're trying something new. If you're joining us on YouTube, we should be live from our studio right now. Hopefully that's all working good, but if we're in your ears, good to have you back. Mitchell Cashmore, joined by Nick Hind. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Yeah, we're trying something new today. Not necessarily we're trying to do it in front of a live audience, but we're taking some editing away. It goes straight up to YouTube straight after a live stream, which helps us out a little bit and makes a bit more of a smoother process, gets it up on YouTube a bit quicker, gets more opportunity to get a couple more viewers. So I think this is our best foot forward if all goes to plan today. So yeah, it's looking really nice.
Yeah, definitely something we can utilize come, Melbourne Cup, Caulfield Cup, Everest. If you're liking this, maybe we'll save these big live streams for those big ones that you can tune in as soon as we get our form done, instead of having to wait, those 6 hours extra for that to be edited, put straight up on the YouTube, especially Melbourne Cup with such a quick turnaround.
Yeah, that's what we're finding at the moment. It's not even like the editing takes very long. It's the uploading takes 2 or 3 hours. So if we can get an extra couple of hours out there to get a couple more views, people might be able to watch it at a better time. That hopefully works out well. We've also got another stream that we're doing tomorrow night on Double during the halftime of the AFL game, the Cats and the
Port Adelaide Power.
So we've also got a bet that's going to come out tomorrow morning on Dabble. That's Thursday morning on Dabble, which will be a cash back. So looking good. Get on that.
Yeah, looking forward to it. A lot of things happening in the mock sports world, a lot of things happening in the racing world. So let's just crack on. We won't be interacting with the live chat too much, but when we come to listen to questions part, we'll get it up, see if anyone in the live chat is sending some questions our way. Otherwise, like I said, if you're in it, it's mostly business as usual. So, mate, Memsie Stakes, let's address the elephant in the room. Brightside didn't win. Pride of Jenny didn't win. Pinstripe runs out of its skin and gets the job done. I'm baffled from what just happened. How did you see the race?
Yeah, look, it was all right. I thought Brightside was home at one stage, but unfortunately not. I think Pinstripe had the race of its life. Pride of Jenny first up was never really looking too well. I think she'll come good come the longer 1600, longer than that as well. The 2000 should be good for the Cox. So we'll wait and see how she goes. But Pinstripe, what a race. Great to see.
Yeah, it's good seeing, those smaller camps start to win Group 1s. And I honestly, I think this spring, we've already had 2 very well-priced winners at the Group 1 level. I won't be surprised if you continue to see that trend, because I feel like those horses who are just super, super dominant have sort of phased out in the last couple of years. We don't have that star that is going to be consistently backable. Those Animo types, those Nature Strip types when he's at his prime. But I think, like we've discussed in the last couple of weeks, Via Sistina, the potential to be the next one of those horses where you can just blindly back her. But the main thing to take away from that race, Pride of Jenny, and you can tell me all about, the stats said she was probably going to run poorly. Never runs well first up. Doesn't really run well 1,400 meters. She always gets better over distance. But still, you would have wanted something a little bit more than that. That's why I've placed her on Fraud Watch. People said I was a casual for it, but you would have wanted more than that.
I don't know. You probably did want more than that at that price. But I never saw her winning that race where if she gets to the 1,600, I'm not going to be too worried. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think that's a bold call, but you love making your bold calls, mate. So.
Well, that's what I mean. People seemed to not be able to make the difference between Fraud and Fraud Watch. Fraud Watch is you put on okay, you're on the fringe here. You need to bounce back. Otherwise, we're going to label you a genuine fraud. That's why I took Stormboy off it, who we'll get to in a minute, because it doesn't look like he needs to be on that watch anymore. And Pride of Jenny goes on it because, again, she's resumed at the 1,400 meters the last few preps, and yes, probably in weaker class, but she's gone from finishing a lip off them to Amelia's Jewel this time last year, and her 2 autumn preps she was a couple lengths off. This time she was over 5 lengths off and didn't really muster anything. Obviously, yes, heavy against leaders on Caulfield on the weekend because of that headwind, and obviously fitness plays a factor, but still, you would have wanted more from her. That's why she's a fraud watch. Happy to see her bounce back next up. I just won't be on her because she's the uncatchable horse for me.
Fair enough. We'll move into the Group 2 from the weekends.
Storm Boy.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I was pretty confident going into it. I think I thought he was going to bounce back well, and he did. He's a massive horse and a absolute athlete, so he was always going to get another race done. I think it looks like he's going to be a good horse early in his prep. Where he goes next, I'm not too sure where he's planning on it, but look, he looks pretty good and he won pretty easily.
Yeah, world's his oyster. Is it Caulfield Guineas? Is it Everest? Is it the Coolmore? Like, you don't quite know, but gee, the head of Coolmore was on the radio early in the week, and he said it was one of the happier days they've had at the track because, you know, they're starting to, maybe they'll make their money back because of all the money they spent on a non-Group 1 winner. Hopefully you can get that Group 1 this spring. Dropped the whip as well. Didn't need it. You know, was just dominant. Like I said, I thought he was going to be flop of the spring. Still remains to be seen if he comes out and falls on his face the next few runs.
He still won a Group 2, though. I think.
Yeah, like
I know. I don't know. I think I got a bit of bias because I did back him, but look, we'll wait and see.
More than impressive enough to take him off fraud watch. There was, of course, leaders bias, but still super impressive. Otherwise, you just got to see if he goes on with it because he was the world beater when he won the Magic Millions, then obviously didn't really go on with the job. Gatsby's, a few people asked me if I was concerned about Gatsby's. Not really. Obviously, the futures play that I had on him didn't really work out because he drifted out in price massively instead of drifting in. Bit of Waller second up syndrome. I'd like to see what happens third up before he completely gets a line put through him or heads to fraud watch. But on the topic of 3-year-olds, we've got a couple more to talk about before we move on in general. First, we'll go to Growing Empire, your best bet that got up. Very impressive. They're thinking maybe Everest now, potentially. If not, again, looking for those 3-year-old races. How did you think of that one?
Yeah, I mean, it helped. We didn't have a fantastic day like the week prior, but like I said, I bet on the races I knew I wanted to bet on, and I ended up making some money myself, so I was pretty happy. But yeah, that race definitely helped me, that's for sure.
Yeah,
it was a good run.
Impressive. Just, ran up to him, put the head in front, and then again, like the good horses sort of do, kind of had to switch off towards the end as it sort of got eased down. Job was done. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it can do next against a stronger field. But finally, we need to touch on it. Autumn Glow.
Yeah, wow.
Like I said, heavy leaders bias. I was in the double chat on Saturday saying, we're very confident it wins, but if she actually does win against this bias that's presented itself on race day, she is a genuine, she freak, because nothing was making ground. She was always going to get right back, and that's exactly what she did, and she still trounced them.
Yeah, it was a great run. Like I said, it was only really short-priced horses that really got up for us in the end. I was lucky I had a bit of a multiplay on some of them, and we had a multiplay on our best bets, which really saved us for the day.
I knew too much caviar was going to get up as well. I couldn't believe it. As soon as I saw that hit the front, I was
it's so standard.
Screaming.
It's so standard. But we missed a quaddie because of one of our mates' horses, Fox Fighter, Will Mitchell.
We debated about putting it in.
I really don't know if you're listening or if you will be listening to this, but yeah, that's our fault, our bad. 40?
44.
Would have been a very, very nice quaddie.
Yeah, 1,400 in the end, the quaddie paid. We would have had a good $300 payout from the 20%.
Would have been nice, that's for sure. But yeah, and then another Will was probably the last one we needed to talk about. Great run. Your best bet of the day.
Probably headed to a Turak now.
Yeah.
You'd think it's probably going to start favourite in it. Depends who actually goes. But yeah, couldn't have been more impressive. Again, another one where it's meant to be a go-ahead horse. They said in the day they're probably going to go back now because of that bias, and maybe just because it's not fully cooked. It's a little bit underdone, not as fit going into it as they would have liked. But then just got the job done anyway. Made me sweat, but got the job done.
Will Mitchell just sent me a message saying, I am listening. Yeah, thanks, mate.
All right. Should, on the topic of interaction with the crowd, should we get into the hotline and the listener questions?
Yeah, we'll start with the hotline. There's, if anyone's that's actually watching that wants to put a thing in, by all means, you can put one down. We'll read it out if you've got one, but we'll start with our hotline questions. This is always fun.
Yeah, we got 3 here. We'll start off with Manso. If this is the same Manso that's in our tipping comp, he's managed to hit both winners so far, via Sustina and Pinstripe. So shout out to him. But yeah, let's see what Manso has to say.
Hey boys, Manso here. Just wanted to ask, when these early spring Group 1s come along, does fitness play a massive part in what you boys are tipping? Cheers, boys.
Good question. Not always what I'm going to be tipping, but I definitely take it into account. And I'm going to speak about that later when it comes to Bella Nipotina's race.
Yeah, I think it depends. Yeah, for the Group 1s, it's obviously not the first thing I'm looking at. It definitely helps. It's one of the things that you go off, but at the end of the day, if it's a Group 1, usually it's a pretty talented field, and most of them have been there before. And most of them, you know how they're gonna run in that type of race. So for me in particular, I don't pay too much attention to it with my punting. I do sometimes, but I can't say looking at it too much that it really comes into it too much for me personally.
Yeah, I'll look at it. I'll take into account, but I'm not going to back a horse just because it's had the most trials or it has the most residual fitness. Obviously, it's a big factor. It's why you see so many horses that have run in the Winter Carnival go so well in spring. It's produced the last few winners come cup season, those stayers, the without a fights. People saying Faulkner Park is going to run really well this spring for the same reason. Also, your incentivizers and such, many of them came through the Brisbane Winter Carnival, and it's because they don't have such a long gap because they've gone from winter to spring instead of autumn to spring. People like to think, they've got that residual fitness come springtime, which is true, and I'll take that into account, but I'm not going to back them purely because of it.
Fair enough.
We'll go to the next one, which I believe comes from Josh Willowtree. Let's see what Josh Willowtree has to say.
Yeah. Hey guys, just after quickly watching one the other day, one of the eps, with Cashy running the 2-inch sideburns, it sort of got me thinking. What year did sideburns go out of style or fashion? I was thinking mid-90s, so 95, 96, but I'd love to get Cashy's.
Sorry, Will Mitchell's trying to call me.
View on this.
Okay. My sideburns. That is actually my head of faculty at my day job. Thank you, Wilso, for that. And they're putting that much shit on me for the sideburns that I was rocking in episode 1. Obviously, when I don't cut my hair very long, for some reason, Cashmore's grow sideburns, and they were getting very thick.
Yeah, definitely got a bit of heckle for that, and I stand by it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
never. Yeah,
do you think they're coming back into fashion?
No, not at all. If anything, they're more not now that you've been seen wearing them. To be honest, but yeah, geez, you wouldn't see me rocking that. That's for sure.
Thank you, Wilso. And now we've got Charlie Manning to finish us off. Shower bets.
Been disappointing 2 weeks. I'm quite well disappointed
Yeah,
myself.
0 from 3.
Giving some horrible tips out. Coco, Sun got stuck back, but wasn't winning it. Stay Post didn't look good, but we'll come back a new week fresh. I like Coleman. I think that he's a good chance, and $11. I want to see that. Have him locked in for a win. Who else have we got? We've got Democracy Manifest. I think Amelia's Jewel's good, a better horse in my opinion. But first up, I think the run under its belt for Democracy Manifest ran well in its last race. I think it gets it done, or each way would be good. And then we have one more. Pericles. Boys, Pericles should win this race. It was close to it last time. I mean, if you look at the form lines, Pinstripe just won the Group 1 against some of, if not the best horses in the world or Australia, and Mr. Brightside and Private Jenny and Co. So it's literally 0.6 of a length behind Gentleman Roy and Pinstripe. I think Pericles just gets it done easily there. And $2.30 or something now. It's just to get on for me. Sorry for the long one, boys. Shout it out.
All right, thank you.
What's the water bill?
He's taken the words out of my mouth for a couple of those tips. I'll say which of them later. But yeah, solid from Showerbets. He's 0 from 3 so far. Needs to get better.
Not a question, but great.
All right, let's head into the listener questions before we head to Punt to the Future.
I don't think no one in the chat. Thanks, boys, and anyone that's watching.
We'll head to the Instagram listener questions.
Instagram
Pick the best
questions.
few because we need to crack on with the tips
Oh my god!
because we've been flooded with them. We won't be able to read every single one out.
All right, from 40, set shot from 25, smack bang in the middle, or 45-degree angle right on your max distance.
Who's that question for? You or me?
Well, either way, they're not going in if it's Cashy because he can't kick 25. 45-degree angle. Oh, I'd rather 45-degree angle from right on my distance, to be honest. I don't like set shots right in front.
Like to hook them in?
Yep.
Yep, fair enough.
I'll actually get some horses questions because all these are about AFL. Any Cox Plate or Caulfield Cup predictions at the moment from Goats?
Caulfield Cup, no. Still waiting to see which stayers put their hands up. Cox Plate, we've discussed it. Via Sistina, Pride of Jenny, and Royal Champion are the only bets we've had so far.
Yeah. I think Via Sistina will win the Cox Plate. Let's see if there's another one that we can get on. Can Luke Nolan claim a Group 1 with I Wish I Win from Matt Blissner? Great question.
I mean, obviously, I Wish I Win is probably top seed for the Everest going into it and amazingly finds itself at $5.50 for the Moir Stakes later on that we'll discuss. So I'll give it a tentative yes. Will I be on it? Maybe a different story. We'll talk about that later.
And last one, who's the best jockey in Australia? Both answer for me, boys, up the mock. That's just come in just now. So
You'd have to say J-Mac, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd have to say J-Mac. I'd say Jamie Carr when she's at her best is up there.
That's fair one.
She gets good rides at the low weight, but J-Mac's hard to go past, I think.
Yeah, J-Mac, and then I would say the second best one would probably be Blake Shin or a Damien Lane.
Damien Lane's pretty hard to beat as well.
Sorry to those that we didn't read out. Of course, when we're getting so many, we can't read them all out. But thank you. Keep them coming. Keep calling the hotline and keep sending in your questions in each and every week. The best ones will be read out on the pod. Now, mate, what people came to see, some tips.
Oh, yeah. Take these off.
We'll go to Punt to the Future. Like we said, I had a good result in the first week with Elias coming in. Bad result with Gatsby's going out. I've got one that I'm confident will definitely come in pre-noms market as well. So if she doesn't end up going there, we'll get money back. It's $9 for a horse we've talked a lot about. It's Via Sistina. The race is the Champions Stakes, of course, on Champions Day at Flemington. You think she goes to Cox Plate, fingers crossed, wins. And then if she manages to run again in the prep, this is really the only other race for her, So I think at $9, she'll win her next couple starts, potentially win Cox Plate, and she'd probably be close to starting, $2.50, $3 here, depending who's in the field. So I think $9 is a very juicy price, considering it's a pre-noms market as well. So like I said, if it doesn't go, we get the money back.
Fair enough. I am going to there's not really too much that really opens up for me. I feel like I'm picking a lot of stuff that I could have picked in week 1, if that makes sense.
It's fair enough.
I'm going Manikato Stakes. I Wish I Win for my Punt to the Future.
Is that pre-noms?
I think it is, yeah.
Good. So if he decides to come to Sydney, we should get that money back. Alrighty. So we head to Randwick now, mate. Of course, the Moir Stakes is the one we'll be discussing in depth in that tip-off later, but we still need the Randwick rundown. Track's good for currently. It shouldn't change unless rain comes out of nowhere. There's potentially some showers on Saturday, but not enough to really tip the scales into the soft range, especially considering how dry it's been in Sydney the last few weeks. Rail goes out 6 meters, though. That's the big thing. The 6 meter rail, that's when you probably start to see those leaders and those inside barriers get a bit more advantageous. In saying that, I've actually backed a couple of back markers in poor barriers, but hopefully that doesn't bite me in the ass there. There was a heavy lead bias at Rose Hill on the weekend, like I mentioned, so please be mindful if it starts to play like this on Randwick and start to maybe alter those bets accordingly. I had a check the last time the rail was out this far. 5 out of the 10 winners on the card were sitting in the first 4 going around that bend. So we'll start off with the midway, mate, 1,400 meters, and I think we all know who you're going to be on, so I'm going to look for a collect elsewhere. A bit of foreshadowing for the rest of the episode. I'm on quite a few horses at a good price. I think I've only picked one favourite all day. I'm going with Byron here at a whopping price of $17 to win, $4.60 to place. Maps to find the front, like I said, which could be the place to be on the day. Best work comes when he's second up and on the dry ground, both of which he gets here. I'm looking for him to really just run a place in a very open midweight. $4.60, that's more than enough for me. And if he wins, I'll be licking my lips.
Yep, Cheerful Legend coming up. Sorry, all my mates are trying to call me to put me off. Cheerful Legend, race 1, $8, $2.80 for a place. My horse, 3 kilo claim with the apprentice, takes it down to 59 kilos. Looking nice, got bumped by your horse 2 weeks back.
Yeah, RIP, Smashing Eagle.
Yep.
To be fair, ran on fantastically considering that.
Yeah, well, it did all right, but it is what it is. We'll move to race 2, benchmark 78, 1100. Pretty simple here for me. I didn't mind Spring Lee, but I think the weight is a bit too much. So I'm going with Martini Mama at $3. First up, J-Mac on board, Matthew Dale as a trainer. Not too bad. So I think that'll be my tip for race number 2.
Again, another roughie for me here to start. Like these early races, I'm seeing if the leader bias can potentially pull off here. I'm going Time Bandit, $20 to win, $3.70 to place. Draws to get the rails. Play catch me if you can. Hopefully goes all the way. Can she hold on? Potentially not. But like I said, with that sort of price, just looking for a place. And if she wins, I'll 100% be jumping up and down. Race 3, the highway. Tricky highway is always here. But I spot a horse. I spot a horse that is proven in benchmark racing. Obviously, you know, when a horse drops from benchmark down to the highway, it's certainly something that you want to look at. So that's why I'm going Melody again. Shocking barrier. Like I said, I want a few horses that have a shocking barrier and should get a far way back. But if they set a good enough tempo and if she manages to stay in touch going around the bend, she might be able to put them away with her change of pace and that late speed. $10 to win, $3.30. I reckon she's a nice each way shot. And, you know, who wants to go for a short odds horse in a highway anyways?
Fair enough. I'm going with Caribbean King.
Caribbean King. Great name.
It's definitely Caribbean, but I'm calling it Caribbean. Caribbean King, $8.50. Nash on board. Even though I'm not too happy with Nash after Sequester didn't get up for me.
Yeah, facts.
I didn't think he ran that horse very well, but I'll go with him here in the highway. So yeah, $8.50 Caribbean King. We move to race number 4 at the 2,400 meters. I really like Strathday here, but I think I'm going to go elsewhere just because I want to see how other horses go in this one. I think I'm going to go with Sir Lucan for this one.
Fair enough.
So it's $11, $2.50. Adam Hieronymus on board. But Strathday looks pretty nice to me, but I want to get a bit more value. $11, $2.50. I think at least it's at each way where I can have a play at it.
God, I'm mad you're not covering Strathday because I'm not covering it either. Could be a too much caviar situation here where we both expected the other to take it and then it ends up getting the job done. So major danger there. Be aware of that, punters. But I'm siding with Redstone Well here. The reason being the market seemed to love it really late in that Elias race, and it actually came into favourite before it got scratched at the barriers because it jumped a little too early and got stuck in the barrier. So, I mean, I'm banking on maybe the fact that, you know, someone knew something and that horse was ready to go on that day. Jumped from the 1,800 to the 2,400. Its start at that 1,800 was really strong late. You know, $4.80. Like to potentially find out, you know, if the market was thinking that it was potentially a better horse than Elias, and we hold Elias in a very high regard. Let's see how it goes here. But again, I'm very, very scared of Strathday. As we move to race 5, the 1,600 meter benchmark 94, Zarek. Its last 16 starts, Nick, have all been at group level. Most of them at group 1 level. Done nothing in just about every single one of those starts. But now comes back to benchmark 94 after, you know, being only a few lengths off Via Sustina a few weeks ago and only being, you know, 4 or 5 lengths off some of the best horses in the country for its last 16 starts. Now only just comes back. It says 65 kilos. Don't worry. That becomes 62 with a weight claim. Can you trust him? I can't. I think this is probably its level, but I would rather it win without my money than actually jump in just because of a massive drop in class. Galeron sticks out as well, but I just don't love that price. Like, it's well placed, but the price considering its runs doesn't really add up. That's why Major Beal, Derby winner, and it's been a stayer since the Derby win, but it's done nothing at the staying distance. Maybe they finally give it a rest, send it back to the mile where it's had a bit more success. maybe that Derby win was only because it was a slosh pit of a track. We were there. We saw how bad of a track it was. Maybe just because it was got out in front and nothing could make ground on that day was the way it won. So $6 to win here. And then if he goes above $2 to place, I'll be all over it each way to, again, hopefully get out the front and not get run down.
Going with Roma Avenue here, $6.50. Had a cardiac arrhythmia. Is that how you say it?
I think so.
Pretty much
pronunciations. Heart problems.
And I like getting on horses after they have heart problems. I know that sounds really bad, but they juice them. They give them drugs, and you should see they come back and they run faster. It happens a lot. People bet with it a lot. It should go really well here.
I was about to say, I don't know why, but it actually is a trend.
It is a trend.
Off a heart problem, they do run well.
They juice it with drugs. It's Roma Avenue, the druggie.
We'll say allegedly, so we can't get sued. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Take us to race 6.
Race 6, 1,200 meters. I don't really know if you really want me to explain too much about this. I'm going to be with Manal. First up, I didn't think she was too bad. I thought she was all right. She could have done a little bit better. Second up, should be fitter. Should be even better. Well suited. I think she's pretty good at this price, to be honest, as well, where I'll have a bit of a play at her on Saturday.
Yeah, the Furious Stakes, another one of those princess races. Big thing about Manala's as well, drops those 3 kilos that she got lumped with the last one compared to the rest of the field. So was that the telling sign? The reason she lost, we'll find out on the weekend. Amina also massively is double nommed for Melbourne. So if Amina comes out of this one, Manal's chances only increases. But, mate, I see a horse. I'm going back to the well. 3 words, too darn Lizzie. $16 to win, $3.70 to place. You've covered Manal, so I'm happy to go wide here. Again, could be a leader's bias. Clark sticks after some very nice trials. I'm more than happy to have just a cheeky little each-way play on her. I am confident that Manal can bounce back.
You fall in love with too many horses. You do.
I'm not falling in love with her. I just see the price, and I'm like, considering how the track could play, I reckon maybe too darn Lizzie. It's $16 to win, $3
All I'm
to
saying
place.
is you fall in love with too many horses.
Oh, well, we'll see on the weekend, but I'm happy that someone's covered Manal because I think she should progress. Now, we come to the race of the day here. 1,000 meters, Concord Stakes. One of the first, is really the first lead up into the Everest. And there's going to be a bit of dribble here, mate, because we're going to have a bit to discuss because of the field, because of the implications. We need to really unpack this one as if it was a tip-off race, in my opinion. Key ones are Bella Nipotina, Giga Kick, and Private Eye, obviously. Some might go in with the argument that they've got bigger fish to fry later on in the prep, so maybe they're not ready to rock here. I argue otherwise because they're not set for the Everest yet, like, Private Eye probably almost was this time last year. Giga Kick was a shoe-in, of course, before the injury. So these horses need to put in big efforts and have a big showing to be able to show slot owners that they can still go, especially Giga Kick. His trials have looked awesome, but is he still the same horse? I'm not going to be on him because of that. Very happy if he comes out and blitzes them because, we need those sprinting stars. Just like Jolly Star, though, I'd rather win without my money and just watch and learn and then get on him later in the prep. Geez. I mean, again, you look at other ones. Bella Nipotina, we go back to that residual fitness, is only here off a couple of months break from the winter. Obviously is proven to go fresh as well. Maps to do no work, should sit right behind the pace and be one of the strongest late. But I'm going to settle with I Am Me. Crazy call here again. I'm going a bit wide, yet to miss the placings first up. She's proven herself in the best of fields. Last 5 starts have all been in groups, group racings, and she's barely been a couple lengths off them. I think, nice and fresh, ping out of the gates, maps to be in one of those first 2 pairs, $11 to win, $2.80 to place. I think she's one of the each-way plays of the day because I think she'll be in the finish.
I'll take Giga Kick. I think winners win. Got unlucky last year after a butchering.
Yeah, fair enough. Is there anything, though, that, sticks out to you?
Remark was one that I was like, but probably let me down a little bit last prep.
Remark is great fresh, though.
Great fresh, but didn't really run nice, and it's only run behind really like Zapateo and it had passive aggressive, I think it was.
Yep.
I think the best of Remarks behind. I'd love to see better, but I think we put in the Quaddie just in case. But Giga Kick should win, I think. Trials looked really, really good, so.
Do you think wins here and then gets snapped straight up for the Everest?
Yep.
Do you think J-Mac rides him in the Everest? That
Dunno.
is Jolly Star or Giga Kick if Giga Kick gets a slot.
Not too sure. I think this weekend I'll answer that question.
It's a good point. If Giga Kick comes out and does what Jolly Star did, maybe he's more inclined to take
He wants
Giga
he
Kick.
wants the winner. That's all he
Exactly.
wants.
It's whoever he thinks is the better chance.
If Giga Kick wins this, I think Giga Kick beats Jolly Star. Personally,
Really?
I think if Giga Kick wins this and wins this well, like he can, like he has shown in the past,
Yeah.
he's won an Everest before.
That's a good point.
I don't know. We'll wait and see. Still a long time before them. So
Yep. Still a lot to go through. Of course, every sprinter that wins a race this time of year says, I'm going to the Everest. So we'll see actually who ends up there on the day, who's riding them and what barrier they have. Take us to race 8, mate.
race 8, another tough one. Zardozi is your favorite, the $2 at the, sorry, this is the 1600 Chelmsford Stakes.
Yep.
Zardozi at $2 is your favorite. It's going to be tough to beat. Zardozi gets less weight than pretty much most, but I'm going to have to settle with Hinged.
Oh, God.
Going to have
Good
to
old
settle with
Hinged.
Hinged. $7, $2 for a place. Second up is probably when it's she's usually her best, I think. Let's have a look. 7 starts, 3 wins, and 1 in the minor. So 4 from 7 and 3 of them are wins, which is pretty nice. So look, we know that she probably hasn't been at her best for a while,
God, no.
but we know her best is good enough to challenge with them. I think Zardozi will be tough to beat, but just not that price for me.
Zardozi is the only favourite I'm on for the day. Kind of like an autumn glow situation last week. If above $2, bet. Below $2, I'm just watching. And, but I'll have her on top if you're desperate for a tip there. Because, is it as simple as she just goes back, lets them do all the work up front, then runs over the top of them? No. Do I think that's probably the most likely outcome? Yes, it isn't. I think she might have to do it the hard way and she'll have a few people sweating. I don't think it'll be, a very big margin. I think she'll only just run over the top late. But, it needs to be over $2 for me to be having a bet there, and currently at the $1.95 mark. So currently won't be touching her, but we'll get around it if it blows out. Race 9, Tramway Stakes here, Group 2, 1,400 metres. Well. Look who's back. Amelia's Jewel.
Yeah.
I can't have her. She's on fraud watch for me. Can you have her, mate?
Yeah, I got her.
Yeah,
She
you've got
wins. She wins. She's coming over to Sydney, Nation Camp. Tommy Berry on board. She's going to be more settled. She's not traveling as much. Traveling would have really disrupted her. I think 56 kilos is a good one to have. Everything's settled. It's not a massive race where there's going to be those helicopters all over the top and it's a big crowd.
Yeah, true.
No pressure. Nothing really. It's her race to lose.
Yeah, I agree. It is her race to lose. I'm not going to be on her because, again, it's one of those ones I need to not jump all in and I need to just watch and learn. You're completely right in saying there's no pressure on her. There is a little bit. There's a little bit of pressure to see if she can hang. This isn't the greatest test. She could end up in this prep if she manages to win this one. Obviously, these aren't the best of the best. These are probably the best of the B graders, but it is a nice little showing that she can run out. And if she blitzes them, it can show, maybe she is the horse that she's cracked out to be, and she deserves another crack to go with the best in the Group 1 racing down the line. But I'll be on Democracy Manifest. Fantastic run last start. Screamed back me next start. Don't love the barrier. Barrier is shocking. Will get a very far way back. But again, at a price like $8 to win, $2.75 to place, just looking for it to place compared to Amelia's Jewel, $2.80 to win. I'll take the 5-cent hit just to get Democracy Manifest over the line in the top 3 compared to Amelia's Jewel, potentially flailing first up. But all the stats say Amelia's Jewel. But from that betting point of view, I'd rather go each way on Democracy Manifest.
Yeah, very nice. Looks like a lot of the boys are getting in the chat at the moment. I don't know if you can see on the screen on the right.
Oh, God, they are too.
So
I look forward to reading that back.
Yeah, I don't know what that's looking like, but I know one of them is probably Brenny, who keeps calling me. Anyway, we move to the last 1,200-meter benchmark 78 to finish off. I know we're on the same horse because we both talked about it before. Scratch last week, Piastri.
Yep. Only other thing to say is that it's double nom for Melbourne, and I'm going to be with it no matter where it goes, whether it's at the $12 to win, $3.80 mark here, or the $3.30 mark down there. Back them both, and then wherever it doesn't go, you get your money back.
Only worry, 16th barrier.
Yes.
That's all. That's it. Well, that brings us to the end of our Randwick rundown.
Yes, we go into the great tip-off now. We head to Melbourne for the Moir Stakes at Moonee Valley. It's the Moir, right? I feel like every year I swap between Moir and Moir, and I'm pretty sure everyone always tells me I'm wrong either way, but I'll stick with Moir. Great field here, and you've still got a big lead over me that I need to start chipping away at. I don't think I'll chip away much here because the horse I'm going to be on is one of the shorter priced ones again. But I'll get back. I'm determined not to be doing that forfeit, which again, I reckon punters in the next 2 weeks will settle on. I reckon episode 5, because then we got 10 episodes to build to the end.
When I've got my lead up plenty. Yeah. Looking nice already. Good start with V Sustainer.
Yeah. Again, keep throwing them in. You know, we've got the Slim Shady, the Spray Tan, eating a hot pepper, the McDonald's challenge. Someone suggested run a kilometer for every point you lose by. I'm not risking that in case you get out to like a 30-point lead. But we'll see what the people want. You know, the most requested one's probably what we're going to lean with. But yeah, mate, what are your thoughts on the field?
Look, what was that? Look, Lady of Camelot, 50 kilos, tough. Slip a curse.
I'd love to see it get
I
broken.
can hear my
here.
brother laughing, and it's putting me off a little bit. I wish I win. Good horse. I don't know. Just it's got a tough weight on its back, 59 kilos. I think Hayasugi's going to be a real good one. Jamie Carr said has come back really, really nicely. She's running well. I think she's obviously the best jockey at that weight as well. Zach Lloyd can get a bit lost on Lady of Camelot, as we've seen. He can also get it done, but he can also butcher it. So I'm real stuck. I think I Wish I Win will be tough to beat. Hayasugi, I think if it wasn't first up, I'd take it. I really do. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'll go with I Wish I Win. I think that last win up in Queensland really sold it for me. So I'll take I Wish I Win here.
Yeah, look, it's a great field. You know, I Wish I Wins. Your Mornington Glories have come out of nowhere and is very respectable in a race like this. I've seen a few people say that they have futures tickets on it at like $50-$60. Congratulations if it gets up. Caballas is an interesting one that, you know, potentially wants to be an Everest horse. Again, Caballas doesn't scream Everest to me, but neither did Jolly Star, and look what she did. Estriella, another one that really wants to head to the Everest. We'll see what happens. But I put it out on Twitter earlier in the week, so spoilers if you've come from Twitter. Lady of Camelot. You know, Zach Lloyd, like you said, would prefer maybe a Jamie Carr on it, but serious Cool and Gatta vibes here, man. Serious Gat vibes, like top female juvenile coming out of the autumn. First up, 50 kilos, well drawn, pings out of the gates. Just, you know, catch me if you can, digs in late, gets the job done. $3.50. Don't love the price. I loved it more at that $4 mark before it's come into favorite here. But I just think, yeah, you can't go past a 50-kilo Lady of Camelot compared to a 56.5-kilo Estriella. Like, it's just too much. And I know over 1,000 meters, usually weight doesn't matter that much. But yeah, serious Gat vibes, $3.50. Hopefully just gets the job done. And Zach Lloyd gets his second Group 1.
Fair enough.
All righty. We move into the Around the Grounds. I've got quite a few, so I'll let you go first. What have you found around the country?
I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I've only got 2. I've gone Moonee Valley Race 5 Savannah Cloud, and then Moonee Valley Race 8 Pericles.
Okay, good. You've stolen a couple, so I get to talk less there. Race 3
Thank
Aramco.
God. Sorry.
It's all right. Aramco, listeners for the last 2 weeks have known that I've tried to back it and it just keeps scratching, so I've finally caught up to it here. Hopefully it runs this time at $4. You took Savannah Cloud. Race 7, shout out to one Jack Jenkins. You've got a Pimilus. Good old Farjack's horse, hoping it's going to be a Caulfield Guineas or a Cox Plate horse. If so, needs to be getting the job done here, and I think it will. $3.30. Apparently, its track work the other day was phenomenal, so hopefully it digs and gets the job done here before going on to bigger and better things later on in the spring. Pericles, like you said, already taken it. Also, Shower Bets gave it to us. Best horse in the race by a mile. Hopefully, it just gets the job done. And then I mentioned it earlier, Piastri in the last. If it goes to Melbourne, I'll be on it.
Fair enough.
The Quaddie, mate. Let's see if we can hit it.
Race 7, I Am Me, Bella Nipotina, Aft, Cabin, and Remark. We left out Gigi Kick. Take Remark out and put Gigi Kick in. Sorry.
Quickly, speaking of Aft Cabin, what's it gone and done? Chopped the nuts off. How much shit did I get for that when I said they needed to chop his nuts off? So if he comes out and blitzes them,
Relax.
I had that in my notes.
Calm down. It's all right.
Yeah, but if he comes out and blitzes them now that he's got his nuts chopped off, I expect an apology from everyone.
Race 7, I Am Me, Bella Nipotina, Aft, Cabin, and Gigi Kick. Race 8, Zardozi, Buckaroo, Hinged, and Just Fine. Race 9, Democracy Manifest, Royal Patronage, Amelia's Jewel, and Arctic Glamour. Race 10, Piastri, Emirate, Hollywood Hero, and World Alliance. $50 gets you 19.5%.
Yeah, good. Again, one that can be a very heavy favorite one. Also could be one with a lot of value, depending who gets the jobs done there. Now, we've had a good couple of weeks. We swept it last week. The week before that, it was technically 1 from 3 because Elias jumped over $2. If you're having a bet anywhere in the country, who is it and why? Is it in Sydney? Are you going to Melbourne? Even maybe going to Perth like you almost did last week?
I'm taking Manal, $3. Best bet of the day of the weekend. We'll take it. Manal. Very happy.
Fair enough. I'm going Moonee Valley Race 8. Pericles, $2.30. Shower Bet's basically said everything earlier. But yeah, it's the best horse in the race by a mile. Only just missed behind Pinstriped, who has just come out and won that Memsie Stakes. And gets a little bit of a jump in distance as well. So it should just dig. Hopefully gets the job done. $2.30. Very confident that Pericles. And it's the best bet around the country for me.
Too easy. Well, thanks for tuning in. If you watch live, if not, thank you for listening as per normal. Catch us next week. Catch us tomorrow, on Dabble if you want to listen to our stream tomorrow. Other than that.
Yeah, make sure to gamble responsibly this weekend. It's a very open day at Randwick. Some favourites are looking good, a lot of value looking good as well. So make sure if you're doing so within your means, set a deposit limit and think about what you could be buying instead. But other than that, we will see you next week.
And back behind those horses, I Am Unstoppable. Osmosis at the clock tower, led by a length to Shinzo, Arkansas Kid, and I Am Unstoppable is running on. The leader, Osmosis, with 50 metres to go. Osmosis is clear and will take it out.